Hello again. Well, we might as well start with the disclaimer. This video is for information only. Viewers assume all responsibility for loss and/or injury if you decide to attempt any of the following. Proceed at your own risk. This video shows how I added a second battery to my Lectric XP Lite. I am sure that there are other ways to do this, but this is the process and parts that I use. The Lite arrived on July 12, 2022. To date, it has 854 miles on the odometer. The reason I added a second battery is because I live in a very hilly area. The 7 amp hour battery did not perform well under these conditions. I am 5 foot 10 inches tall and weigh 165 pounds. With this design, just one battery is used at a time. I am using the 20 amp hour battery as a primary power source and the 7 amp hour battery as a reserve. The stock battery uses a 3-position key switch, and the second battery uses an off-on toggle switch. Due to possible battery or electrical component damage resulting from unbalanced voltages, at no time should both batteries be turned on at the same time. Battery balancing modules are available to safely manage multiple batteries, but space limitations and cost prevents me from using it at this time. I had to purchase 5 separate components for this modification. The one you're looking at is a 2-foot fused heavy-duty extension cord. You'll see in the video where I have to cut this apart and move individual pieces to different areas of the bike. This is a T-plug parallel adapter. It's configured as a single female with a dual male connection. This came as a pack of 3. This is a weatherproof, quick disconnect power cable. This is the on-off toggle switch. This is the 48 volt 20 amp hour lithium ion battery. It has the charge port, a couple T-pins and a short harness, and a 2 amp hour charger. The battery weighs approximately 11 pounds. Here I've unlocked the bike and folded it, and you'll see 4 screws circled in red. I had to remove those screws and then remove the battery connector from the bike frame. Here you can see I've removed that battery connector, and there's a male and female T-pin connector. I have it circled in red. I had to cut the shrink sleeving away from that paired T-pin connector. Here you can see I've carefully removed the controller from the frame. I'm not sure that they use the same controller in all electric lights. I don't know that for a fact. This is just what came with my bike. Here I'm getting ready to install a parallel adapter between the male connector from the controller and the female connector from the battery. This photo shows the 3 parts assembled. please note that you must ensure that you maintain the correct polarity. This photo shows how I modified that heavy-duty extension cord. This shows the harness installed in the frame. I inserted the T-pin connector up through the hole on the underside of the bicycle frame, and there's plenty of room for that. And here's that T-pin connector on the end of the harness that was just installed in the bicycle frame. Here, all the connections have been made to that parallel adapter. And once again, triple check to make sure that the polarity is correct. With all the connections made to that parallel adapter and polarity verified, I installed a length of shrink sleeving over the connections. With all the connections verified, I installed the controller back into the bike frame. Now, as you're looking at the photograph, I installed that adapter and the harnesses on the left side as you're looking at this photograph. With all the wiring connections made within the frame, I install the battery cover and secure it with the 4 screws removed earlier. Here is the toggle switch assembly that I made. It consists of the toggle switch, a male T-pin, and a female T-pin. This view is looking at the underside of the toggle switch. You can see I have the battery positive lead broken and secured to the screws of the toggle switch. The B- leg is continuous from one T-pin to the other. And yes, I did Loctite those screws to the toggle switch because I did not want them to come loose. As you recall, the parallel adapter came in a 3-pack, and it just worked out well. I only needed one parallel adapter for the actual joining of the wires in the bike frame, so that left me 2. I disassembled the remaining 2 parallel adapters and used the pieces elsewhere. This is the battery, and as you can see, there's the charge port and the lead that will connect to the toggle switch. I made up another harness that consists of the weatherproof connector, the fuse, and a T-pin. As shown in the photograph, the fused harness connects to the toggle switch, and in turn the toggle switch connects to the battery. The harness I'm holding runs down to that parallel adapter inside the bicycle frame. If you look at the photograph, you can see that pouch on the rack has not yet been modified. I had a very old insulated soft-sided lunchbox, and it fit the battery like a glove, so that's what I decided to use. I used 1/8" hobby grade plywood, and I measured the battery and made a floor out of the plywood for the battery to set on. Then I included a little extension out the side, which gives me a place to mount that weatherproof connector to. In this photo, there is the weatherproof connector, which runs up into the pouch, to the fuse, to the toggle switch, and is connected to the battery. The harness from the parallel adapter that exits the bike at the bottom of the frame runs up the rack and connects to the underside of the weatherproof connector. Nice, lazy, rainy day. A good day to make a video on an e-bike. So this is my completed upgrade to the Lectric XP Lite. I'm not sure exactly where to begin. Might as well be right up here. Again, this is my repurposed lunchbox from many years ago. As I said before, the battery fit in here like a glove. Here is that harness that I made. It comes into the pouch. There's the fuse. There's the T-pin connector, which goes to the toggle switch. Another T-pin, and there's the lead for the battery. Coming out of the pouch here, it comes down to that weatherproof connector, and the extension harness goes from here down the luggage rack to the underside of the bike up into the frame and connects to that parallel adapter. So we'll do a couple demonstrations here. And to repeat myself, I only use one battery at a time. So I'll start with the stock 7 amp battery, and that's controlled by the key switch underneath the frame. So I'll turn it on. Wait, before I do that, I want to check to make sure the other battery's off. The other battery's off. I turn the key on, press the power switch, and the display comes alive. And you can see I have 885 miles on the bike at the moment. I think I have just under 100 miles on the dual battery setup. No issues, very pleased. And we'll come down here, and the stack battery at the moment is just over 54 volts. And I have not used the stack battery since I got the 20 amp hour battery connected. Okay, so we'll turn off the regular or stock battery. The display is dark. I'll come back to the battery pouch, turn the power on, power's on. Come back up to the power switch, and same mileage, no mileage at the moment, and this time the 20 amp hour battery is at just over 50 volts. And I'll power it down. And what I like is that as far as the display and the controller, it doesn't know which battery is feeding it. It just works well. And I'm going to keep a dual battery set up using the 20 amp as the main power source and the 7 amp hour. If for some reason I need it, it's there. It's kind of like a reserve on a motorcycle. It's just there if you need it. And I'll power it down, and I'll come back to the battery pouch and turn it off. And normally what I do is I take the harness and all the stuff and I just tuck it down a little deeper, and I have a container that sets in on top of this with my tools and first aid kit and tire repair and all that stuff. As a matter of fact, it's just a box that I got from an Amazon order, and all the jiggly bits are put in that box. that sits in there. I just zip up the pouch and it's all secure. Now, if for some reason I can come over here and there it's disconnected, and I have a skewer under here, and I pull the skewer out. There's the skewer, and that's all that holds this bag on the bike. So there it is. I can take it off easily, put it back on easily, make a connection and go. Or I can take the battery out of here if I want. It takes a matter of seconds to reconfigure the bike however I wish. So I don't know what else I can tell you about this other than I'm extremely pleased. The stock battery, it works, but again, in my area, trying to get home from a 16-mile ride is not impossible, but you had better make sure you leave enough juice to get up the hills. So there it is. It's all put back together. The skewer underneath is back in position and the bag is secure, and I've reconnected the extension cord. I don't know what else to say. It's just well worth the effort. And I'm guessing in my area, with all the hills and everything, between the two batteries, I've got at least 60 miles, I would guess, comfortably. And now I'm the weak link in the equation, because there's no way I can sit on that saddle for over 40 miles. It's just not possible. One other thing I'll mention while I'm right here is I do have a video out there on waxing of the chain using paraffin wax, and I just love this. This is amazing. I've got probably 50 miles since I cleaned and applied new paraffin on this chain, but you do not get dirty. I mean, there's no oily residue slinging all over the place. I just love it. Now, what I'm doing is every 100 miles or so, I drop the chain off, go through the cleaning process, and then reapply the paraffin. I've got two chains, so on this one, and you'll know, it'll start to chatter at you when you need to change it. But it's just really nice, and I would never ever go back to the regular chain lube. Again, 100 miles on this chain and there's no dirt. Very pleased. That's it. Thanks for taking the time to go through all this with me, and have a nice day. I thought I'd make a couple final comments before I go. First, on a scale of 1 to 10 for complexity of this upgrade, for me, it was about a 3. And from start to finish, building the harnesses and that plywood floor and making all the connections, it took me no more than 4 hours from start to finish. But that's just me. On the other hand, making this video, I have about 5 days invested trying to get this to sound correct and all the pieces put together. So on a scale of 1 to 10, this video has been an 8.5 for me. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this, and have a nice day.